Hello everyone, welcome to the next session on SAP Web IDE training. In the last episode of the training, we discussed about basics of SAP Fiori Launchpad Designer, what roles are required to run SAP Fiori Launchpad Designer, and what roles are required from the user's point of view to access SAP Fiori Launchpad. We also tried activating a couple of the apps related to HR out of the box in SAP system. Unfortunately, we have a system where we don't have a proper compatibility between backend and frontend. Hence, these apps are not working. But I managed to find out an application which is proper and it is working as well. So we will quickly check that as well in today's session. Towards the end of the class, we also tried debugging something, but it didn't work out because we could not find out the DPC class name as well as the information about the OData service project. So in today's session, we will focus first the debugging part. We will try to understand in a very complex scenario of your ERP system where you have multiple backends. Let's say one system is ERP, one is CRM, one is PLM, and then HCM, different systems in your company, and on top of it you have one single gateway. How will it connect to multiple systems? And which user will be used to connect these multiple systems? So keeping this picture in mind, we also discussed about that a user is available and this user must exist in the backend system as well. In which case this particular scenario holds good. In other cases, why this scenario will not hold good, and then how can you debug for a business user in your backend application? That is what also we're going to talk about. In last class, we also discussed the target mapping between the semantic object and the launchpad tiles. We also discussed the LPD cust entry related to the transactional apps, how they are mapping to the BSP application available in the system, the real Fiori application. And we also talked about how to create basic role for an administrator who is going to create the launchpad for you and the user who is going to use this launchpad. That is all we have discussed in the last class. So let's begin and try to understand this scenario where you have multiple backend systems and how the connection is going to happen and how you are going to do as a developer the debugging part. So typically user is going to access all the applications from SAP Fiori Launchpad. So you will always have your central gateway hub. So this is your SAP Fiori front-end system. You have basically this is as your gateway, and now in this system you have your OData services registered here in the gateway. So you have OData services, and these OData services are going to connect to the backend system through the gateway channel. And now this gateway channel, if you look at it, is consist of RFC connections. We talked about secure RFC connection. How does the hub system can connect to backend system, right? You remember our first chapter where we saw how to create system aliases to connect to different backend systems, and each system alias contains one secure RFC. So it contains one secure RFC connection, right? That is what we discussed. So now if you look at here, if you have multiple systems to be connected, you have multiple system alias. You can also create same system alias with multiple secure RFC connections to single system. It is possible. Okay, we will see that scenario today. You will understand this end to end. So now you have system aliases, which is actually pointing to a secure RFC, and through this you will connect to your SAP backend system where your actual business data is available, right? Your actual business data is available here. So in this is your backend system. Let's say one of the box is ECC box, which has all the core ERP functionality, and then you have your OData project here, OData implementation, you can call it as DPC classes, data provider classes, and your business data. All your business data and the business roles are also lying in this backend system. So your business data and business roles, all your core functionality like VA01, ME21N for purchase order, MM01 for material, XD01 for customer, XK01 for vendor. All that is also lying in this backend system. At the same time, you can also have different types of backend like CRM. Then you have your CRM data, your all your business object layer, ball layer, and stuff like that in this system. You can have your PLM, where you have WebIntro based application and access classes to access the data for this application. So typically any application, if you look at any ERP application, it has multiple layers. So as I discussed in the last class, you typically have something called a database, actual data, and then on top of this database you will have the class which access only the database related operations. So this is called DB layer. So DB layer is consist of a lot of classes which only does the DML operation. On top of it you have something called an API layer which does all the business logic like authorization checks, all the function modules, your BAPI all comes under this business layer. And then on top you have a UI layer. So this is typically any conventional application looks like. So this is your actual business data at the end. Okay, so that's how your applications are. So each system is like this, and on top you have a DPC implementation which access this API layer, talks to DB layer, and then actually access the data. At the same time, at API layer you have roles. So API layer, what it does is it checks the roles if the user who is talking to it has the required roles assigned or not to access the business data, right? So this is all we have in a typical scenario, in a typical system, right? So that's all we have in a typical scenario, typical business application. Now, here, if you look at how the connection will be made from the front-end server, basically your Fiori apps are going to access the data from the backend. So this connection is done through a secure RFC connection. And this secure RFC connection is maintained in something called system alias. So this is a secure RFC connection which you have here. So now the secure RFC connection is connecting to the backend system, and there is a user which is maintained in secure RFC. We saw in our case, the user which we are maintaining in this secure RFC connection is Fiori server user, which means any data which you're accessing in the backend is being logged in through this Fiori server user. Even on the front end, you have a user called Anubhav, but in your secure RFC, the user which is maintained is Fiori server. It is going to go and connect to the backend system with user Fiori server. Is that clear to all of you? So even I log in the launchpad as user Anubhav when I'm connecting to my front end system, but the alias, the system alias which is being used by your OData service has the secure RFC, and this secure RFC has a user Fiori server. It is going and hitting the backend system as a Fiori server user. Now you may say, Anubhav, user will never know this. I'm a Anubhav user. I connected to app. I log in into Launchpad, and now I try to access business data. Now, but actually when it is connecting to backend where my business data is lying, it's connecting with the user called Fiori server, which means I am not the real person. To the backend, it is going as a Fiori server. Okay, I am Anubhav, and I should be only be able to access the business data which I am allowed to access. So it should go and connect to the backend also with user Anubhav. How will that happen? In which case it will happen? Typically, if you maintain a user in your RFC with a fixed user, the backend connectivity will always happen with the Fiori server user, remember. So anything which is assigned to Fiori server user will work, otherwise it will not work. So this is not a real scenario, real-time scenario. So what do they do to solve this problem? What do they do to make the current user as the user for backend? How do they do it? I will show you that as well in the system. And how can you make a call with the same OData service connecting to different systems? How is it possible? Okay, though you can maintain something called in IWFND transaction. If you remember, in IWFND transaction, we maintain a system alias for every service. We can still connect to a different system. So if you select any service, you can see here in the system alias, we are maintaining which system it should connect to. You see, Fiori backend TRU, but you can still change it at runtime. So we will see multi-origin concept, how you can still connect to a different system on fly using this OData service. So by default system alias is this one, but if you want to connect to another OData service or basically to access the data for another system at runtime, how can you do it? All that we'll try to understand now. Let's go to the system and first activate one of the application in the server. Okay, one of the application in the server. So I will go back to our launchpad as Fiori server user as administrator, and now what I'm going to do is I'll check one of the application um, related to let's say purchasing area, so purchase order. So I have multiple application like track purchase order, approve purchase order and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I just check an application for purchase order. So I come back to our Fiori apps repository and search for track purchase order application, how to enable this application for user. So I select this, and as you all know, what is the backend and front-end component needed? They are already installed. And if I scroll down, I should get the role, the business role, which I can use out of the box to give an access to my user. So this is the role which I need to assign to the user Anubhav. So user Anubhav will be able to access this particular track PO application. So let's go back, come here, quickly go to the user in the front-end system. So this is backend. Let me close all the unwanted things so it will not disturb us. So I'm just quickly removing all the stuff from here, and now I just have one window for front-end server. I'll go to user SU01 and open user Anubhav, go for change, go to roles, and just quickly assign the front-end role to this user. I just give this, press enter, save it, done. The Anubhav user setting has been changed. Let's come back to the launchpad. I logged in already with user Anubhav, you can see here. And now what I'm going to do is just do a refresh to see whether I can find the application track purchase order or not in this. So scroll down. Yes, you can see you've got all the application related to that business role, and you can see there is approve purchase requisition, approve purchase contracts, track purchase order. Here we have. I click on this track purchase order and let's see what happens. So now it goes and connect to the front end server. From there it calls the OData service, it hits the backend server, pulls all the data and displays it in my Fiori application. So that is what it is doing. So let's see what it does. So it's just loading up. It'll take a little bit of time since we are using it for the first time in the server. It's caching all the data related to Fiori, and wow, you can see it's loading up all the purchase orders available in the system. Now, very important thing. First, we need to find out which OData service this particular application is using. So let's go and do that. So how do you find out which OData service it is using? So it's pretty simple. Go to your Fiori app library, and here you will get to know the technical details about OData service, which is this one. See here, this is the OData service which this particular app is using. So I will copy this OData service name and search for this OData service, the place where I maintain all the service details. So I will go back to the front-end system and I go to /o/iwfnd/maint_service. Press enter and just filter here based on the external service name, which is given in the Fiori app repository, and click on OK. You can see it is already registered and available here. And now you can see here it is going and connecting to which particular system alias. It is going to Fiori backend TRU. A trusted RFC has been created and it's going and connecting to the backend system through this particular RFC. Okay, so if I double click here, it will take you to the system alias and basically the trusted RFC connection. And now you go to logon in security, where you can check which user has been used to connect to backend. So Fiori server, though you logged in as Anubhav, the backend connectivity, it's going and connecting to the backend system as Fiori server user, not as Anubhav. Remember, this is very critical. This is very, very critical, guys. So you have a OData service. This OData service is supposed to call backend and get the data for purchase orders. It is going and connecting this data for the purchase order as which user, not as Anubhav. It's going and connecting to backend as Fiori server user and getting the purchase order data, guys. This is very important. So here where you can see system aliases. So it's going and connecting to it. So even so what can happen is you can have multiple system aliases, and you all know where do we maintain that setting in SPRO. All the system aliases related to the OData services can be maintained over there in that system setting which I showed you when we started after installation. So if I go to IMG reference, and so the user which is it is using to connect to backend is Fiori server user, not the user Anubhav. Remember, that means even I don't have a user in the backend with the name Anubhav, it will still work because it's going and connecting to the backend as Fiori server user. So let's come to NetWeaver gateway, and I will show you where do you maintain all the system aliases in a trusted relationship with the backend system. So if you expand this configuration, connection setting, SAP NetWeaver gateway to SAP systems, and see manage SAP system aliases. So here you can see it is going to connect to the backend system. What are all the different system aliases available? These are all the system aliases available, and you see these are all the RFC destinations available which it is using to connect to the backend system. So the one which is maintained for the current service is Fiori backend TRU. This is the one which they are using to connect to the backend system, and you can see it here. It's also maintained here. You can see it's already maintained. So it's going as a Fiori server user to the backend. So all the authorizations which you need right now to make this service run is needed for Fiori server user. You can see all the purchase orders are visible. Okay. Now, is it a good thing, guys, which wherein a user connected to the front end server who's Anubhav, but the backend data has been read out for Fiori server user? Is it a real-time scenario? Anybody? Is it really a real-time scenario? Do you really want your front-end users to connect, and the data for which is read out from the backend is of a different user? It's very risky, especially in HR scenarios. He's going to a portal, he's going to Fiori app My Benefits to check out his salary slip. But in the backend system, the RFC which is maintained in your system connection is using Fiori server user. So it will read the payslip for Fiori server user. Very bad. This is not at all a real practical scenario. Yes, and Fiori server has lot more accesses than needed. Very bad scenario. So in real time, we don't do this. What do we do in real time? We need to create a connection to the backend system which it doesn't have any user maintained in RFC. Let me show you. So right now, as we understood, this is connecting to backend as a Fiori server user. So let me show you the Fiori server user in the backend system. So I connect to backend and log in as a Fiori server user. Press enter. And I will show the roles which are assigned to this guy Fiori server. That's why it's able to read the data. I go to SU01 and I go here, Fiori server user, and I go to roles. And you can see there are a lot of authorizations assigned to this guy here, though they are really not needed. So this is just to set up a demo system. We have done it in this way. This is not at all practical scenario. Just to set up a demo system, guys, we have done it in this way. Okay, we have done it in this way. But in real-time scenarios, this is not the case. Okay, this is not the case. So you should have a user who is connecting to front end. Same user should be logged in the backend also. Same user should be good. So first step is you have to create the user in the backend, which typically they do have it. Okay, because this is legacy system which is already using companies using, and they all the users and their roles are already there in the system. Okay, it's already there in the system. It's a legacy system. What comes new is the Fiori front-end server. There they will create a user with the same name, and now enforce this as a user to connect to backend. This has very less role as compared to Fiori, just a developer role which we assigned yesterday to debug. Now I want Anubhav user to be used to connect to backend system, and the moment I will change this, you will see an issue will come in your Fiori app, because now this guy Fiori server user has more backend authorizations which your user Anubhav will not have it in the backend. Hence you will see your Fiori app will not work. But first of all, how do we enforce that system goes and connect to the backend as Anubhav user, or the user who is logged in, rather than default Fiori server user. Point one, that's our first statement which we need to target. So how to make sure that the user which is used to connect to backend is same as the front-end user. This is our first confusion. Right now what's happening? We have a secure RFC maintained with hard-coded user as Fiori server, right? This is the case. Hence, all the authorizations which are needed right now to run this Fiori app is Fiori server authorizations, and you will not make a difference because it's a demo system. Second thing, if you want to make sure, how do you check that which backend system your OData service is connecting? Okay, how do you check this? Let me show you this. This is also very important when you especially want to see in the backend, how do you debug? Which system it is connected. In your company, guys, you may have multiple systems. Here we have only one system as a backend, but in your company, you may have multiple. How do you check that? Which backend system your OData service is talking to? We need to check this. This is very critical. It need not be necessarily, guys, this one what is maintained here. Need not be necessarily. I'll show you. I'll remove the system alias. I'll remove the system alias. It's removed. And now I add it again as EHP6. So I'll go inside. I will add the service identifier, basically the service name. So what's my service name? It's ZSRA20PO tracking. Let me copy this in my notepad. I copy this. And now I just say add an entry. And here I'll say new entry. Maintain this user role. Press F4. We don't need any role right now. We just maintain system alias, which system we want it to connect. So EHP is my backend system. I maintain this, press enter. What is the problem? Let me do in star F4. It's underscore 001 what they have for versioning. So done. Now save this. It asks for a transport request. Fine. Say okay. And you will see a system alias is available here at the bottom. Now it gives an impression to you that it is connecting to this backend system. Okay, EHP system. Okay, it gives you an impression, but it may be possible, guys, that this OData service is going and connecting to a different backend system. I will show you how do you check which backend system actually this OData service is going and connecting to. Let me show you this. I go to /SPRO system, SPRO setting once again in my front-end system. I open IMG reference, NetWeaver, gateway, OData channel, configuration. And then let me just check here which option is relevant. Yes, assign SAP system alias to OData service. See this option. Click on execute and find your OData service here in this list. Let's search, say position. Identifier remains this star. Okay, so you can see you found one entry, EHP. This shows that it's going to connect to EHP, but does it really guarantee that it's going to connect to EHP? No. It is controlled by another parameter. So if you want to bypass connection to EHP system and connect to different backend system, there is a possibility what SAP gives. Your service should support a new feature called SAP_origin parameter. When you support SAP, your service support SAP_origin parameter at runtime, you can tell which backend system you want your service to connect. You can tell. And let me show you. I go back to our screen, press F12 here and just refresh the page to show you the network calls. I just refresh the page. Watch carefully the network call which goes from here to the backend system. It will tell you which OData service it is going to go and connect. So there will be a parameter which you will find here. Now you see there is an error coming, HTTP request failed. I don't know why it's coming. And you see here, SAP underscore origin equal to Fiori backend TRU. See, it is using this backend connection, this backend alias, system alias to connect to backend system, not the one which you maintained in default. So if you come back, the one which we maintain in default is different, but the actual which is it is using is, see, we made EHP as the one, but the one which it is using is Fiori backend TRU as system alias. Why? How? If you see for this particular service, there will be an entry for Fiori backend TRU also. Let me go and show you in the entries. We will just position again, put this name, press enter. There will be one more entry, guys. There will be one more entry. I'm not able to see that here. Hope I can't filter as well. No, I can't filter as well. So there will be definitely an entry for this particular service with this Fiori backend TRU as well. So that's why it's going and connecting to it. And let's see what the error it is giving. It's giving this system, this property SAP origin inner error. Gateway hub system search entities with timestamp above and details. So there's a gateway error which it is throwing now. No support by this service for system alias this. We don't have an entry, that's why this error is coming. So the service is actually, we have hard coded this as the preferred backend system for the service, and it cannot find an entry here in the system alias for that. So I will maintain an entry. This issue you can get it for other services also if they hard code it. Okay, so what you can do is maintain that entry. So there can be possibly two entries, but the one which is marked as default system will be used. Okay, one which is marked as default system will be used. So now what I can do is I can also create one more entry here for the same service which we have, and this time I will add the new system alias which is backend TRU and make it default. So now it will find this entry and the error will go off. Now this RFC is also same, connecting to the same backend system but using Fiori server as the default user. Save this. An entry has been created, your Fiori will again start working. But still we did not come to the question where it goes and connect as Anubhav to the backend. It is still going and connecting as a Fiori server. You see it has found the entry and is now connecting. So sometimes you may get an error that and you can see in the URL also, SAP origin, it's telling you which backend system it is planning to connect. Okay, so here they have this setting which enforces, even you have a system alias maintained at the service level here, but still the SAP origin parameter enforces at runtime to connect to a different system or a system with a specified user. Okay, so you can see it here. This is the one. It is maintained, but actually it's using the another one, another system alias. And let's go and check it out. Which alias it is using. We just saw which alias it was using. It was using TRUST. So if I go to that alias and show you the entry for the user which it is using. So let's go to system aliases again. Manage system aliases. And now you can see this is the one which it is using by default. And if I go to the RFC, okay, I can't go from here. I go to SM59 and show you there the RFC connection which it is using to connect to the backend. Has found it. Go and check. See, here also we maintain Fiori server user. So it's connecting to backend as Fiori server user, guys, not as Anubhav. Now we come back to problem number 1. So we first discussed how do you check which OData service is going by which system alias, where do you maintain it. That we saw it in the SPRO setting. So we found it in SPRO. We can check it. We can check the mapping between OData service and system alias. We also found the trusted RFC and check the user maintained to connect to backend, right? This also we did. So we now understood how do you find which RFC connection it is using, but still we are stuck with the problem number one. How do we ensure that it connects to backend system with same user, not as a default user? So this is a real-time practical scenario. Whenever you're using any Fiori app, make sure that it doesn't have a default user maintained. It should be the user, which is the current user, and that's what will change now. The same RFC connection which I have here, I will change it. And now I use current user checkbox. Yes. Okay. And now I make trusted relationship to yes. These two settings you need to make, which enforces that the OData call which is going to backend goes as same user. That's why it will try to look forward for a user Anubhav in the backend now. Okay, it will go and try to look forward for a user Anubhav in the backend now. And if your user doesn't exist in backend, it will fail. In this case, we have a user exist, but the user doesn't have the authorizations now. That's why you'll get an error in the Fiori app now, because now it's not going as a Fiori server user. Instead, it is going as Anubhav user or the user who is logged in. I saved this. Everything is done. Let's just refresh our Fiori app and check what happens. I refresh our Fiori app. It's going and connecting as Anubhav now to the backend, and it should ideally lead to an error if I don't have authorizations assigned in the backend for OData service. So it is gone into infinite wait. Maybe I just need to press F12 and do a cache refresh. So right click here on the top, empty cache and hard reload. We will also check the network calls if there's something going red in the network call. So let's see what happens. It is loading, taking so much of time. Maybe I will quickly close and try one more time. So I will now open another window in incognito mode. No, it's we have not we didn't set a breakpoint yet. Hold on, we didn't set a breakpoint yet, guys. So I'm just trying to access it. Let me enter. So my apps are coming now, and I'll try to access this track purchase order application. You see there are a lot of errors coming because now it's really using Anubhav user for all these services. Earlier some data was coming, some numbers were coming, but now all are failing because it's going and talking as user Anubhav to the backend. See, it has cached my data in the Fiori. So it's showing these purchase orders. But let's see. You see there are a lot of errors. See, interop service resolve link operation return two targets for hash. There is some problem, guys, with this. Somebody has made two target mapping for same application, and now you see there is an error coming for timesheet approval app server request fail. There is this error coming for this particular OData service SRA001 PO approval. Now we can try and see debugging. So let's go and check whenever I select an item, which service it is calling. So I select an item now. Let's see in the network call. It's getting the data indeed. So I think it's a problem with this RFC. Let me check again. I would probably mark trusted to false and see what happens. So basically I wanted to see really if it is connecting you as user Anubhav to backend or not. So I just go back to RFC connection again. Go for logon security. You can see its current user already marked. Let me make it no. Save this. Is it really using this? I refresh. Yes, you can see now, don't mark trusted relationship, you got an error now. So this time it's going and really connecting to backend as user Anubhav. See, There is an error coming IWFND error log. You can go and check the error now for this user what went wrong. So don't mark trusted as true, guys. Just mark it as no. Now what happening? It is connecting as user Anubhav to the backend. And since user Anubhav don't have the authorizations in the backend system, proper authorizations is giving me an error. We can also debug this for the user Anubhav. I will show you in a short while. So let's go to this transaction now in the front end system as our Fiori server user, because we are the administrator, Fiori server, and we can see why it failed. So when a business user reports you these kind of issues, okay, you always have to go and check for this business user in this particular transaction and see what went wrong. So go to IWFND error log, and here you will see in the front end server, I should do /n, I think. Yes, let me just come here, /n/IWFND error log, and we should be able to see an error. You see there's an error coming for user Anubhav, RFC error, name and password is incorrect, repeat logon. Okay, it's giving some error related to this RFC error. So maybe I think we should make it trusted, because it should connect to backend as Anubhav. So it should be trusted, guys. Let me go back, make it trusted again. I want to show you now, it will hit the breakpoint in the backend for this particular RFC connection. So let's enter the username. It has to be trusted then. So where is my RFC name? Let me just pick it up, the RFC name. So basically now with this user, we will debug in the backend system for Anubhav user. We'll see that whether Anubhav is hitting or not the breakpoint. So this is the RFC connection. Let me make it again trusted. Why it is not visible? Where is my RFC? Let me try creating it. Backend. And I will just quickly enter my backend data. Sorry guys, I have to just go to front end. So let's go here to SM59, open up your RFC, and now here just go back, change it to trusted relationship. Yes, save this. Okay, so we just change it. I think there are other people who are working with this system and trying to make these things disturbed. Okay, so now we maintained a trusted relationship which using the current user. So it should connect to the backend as user Anubhav, and it should use Anubhav as a user to get all the information from there. Let's try now. We just do a refresh, it would get the data, but now I will show you by user Anubhav when it hits the services how it is picking up the data. So now you can see here it's calling some PO list, and then PO detailed data. There are all these things it is calling, and you can see the origin is now it is using EHP as origin. See, somebody changed it, guys, in the meantime. Origin as EHP. It's using EHP as origin. So maybe I need to go back and change this. Instead of this EHP, we should use this trusted one to connect to backend. So I will remove the system alias, and now you have it, this one. Just save this. Also say refresh, load metadata. Done. So it should use only this one as backend connection, and for this RFC only we maintained the current user as the user who should connect to backend also. Let's refresh just to make sure that it is not EHP. It should be the one which we are really using. Now you're getting an error. Okay, looks like the metadata issue. I want only the RFC which I now configured should be used to connect to backend. Only that one, guys. So maybe I'll close this. It must use that RFC which we have just configured to connect to backend. Let's click, and I can show you here there is no data coming. Earlier there was data coming, but now there is no data coming. See, now there is no data coming. Yeah, so it's now using our user Anubhav connecting to backend and trying to get the data, but there's no data coming. So now we will see why the data is not coming for this guy Anubhav. So we will debug as user Anubhav in the backend from Fiori server user and see why the data is not coming. Let's quickly refresh one more time and see which OData service entity set it is calling. So here you can see the OData entity set which it is calling is purchase order track. This is the app name, and then it's getting metadata and it's calling PO list entity set. It's calling PO list entity set, and this is your service name which it is calling. SRH020 PO tracking SRV. So let's open this service in our front end system first. So we go to our front end system. This is the OData service, and yesterday I was trying to show you what was the DPC class name and we could not find it. One way to find it is directly in the description. You can see here. If you cannot find it in description, select the entry, click on service implementation. It will automatically connect you to backend system and takes you and show you the DPC class name. So click on service implementation display. It has connected and taken you to EP7 system. See, automatically it has taken. And now here you can see the DPC class name in which you can set up your breakpoint. Go inside this. It is starting the class tool, and we should set breakpoint in which entity set? Anybody? What was the name of the entity set for which we need to set a breakpoint? What was the entity set name? PO list. This is the entity set name, you can see. So if I come here, scroll down, there has to be get entity set method, PO list get entity set method. Go in this and set up a breakpoint here. But currently this breakpoint is being set as user Fiori server. Okay, Fiori server. If you go here, go to settings, go to debugging, you see. So it won't hit your breakpoint because now it's going and connecting to backend as user Anubhav. It won't hit your breakpoint. This breakpoint will not be hit. Let me show you. If I just refresh, it won't hit the breakpoint because it's going and connecting to backend as user Anubhav, not as Fiori server user. If I would have had the user as Fiori server maintained in my trusted RFC, it would have hit the breakpoint. But now it's not, because it's going and connecting to backend as user Anubhav this time. And yesterday, this is the mistake which we did. We were using trusted RFC which had Fiori server as a user. We were trying to debug as Anubhav. Since in the trusted RFC Fiori server was the user maintained, it was going and connecting to backend as Fiori server. But now since we made it current user and a trusted relationship, it's using the current user trying to connect to backend and pulling the data for this. Since this user doesn't have the authorizations, I will show you in a minute, it is not able to pull the data. So let's debug now for Anubhav. I come back, go to utilities settings, make it debugging point and enter user Anubhav here. So now any call which is coming by user Anubhav will be used and it will hit the breakpoint. Let's come back and just refresh your page on Fiori. The user which is using to connect to backend is Anubhav. It should hit the breakpoint. So let's see. It's rolling. It should connect to backend as user Anubhav, and voila, you see this time it hit my breakpoint. Is that what you really wanted, Charu, to discuss in the class? How to debug. So now you know how to make your user connect to backend, not the one which is default. Yeah, now you can see this, how it is using your current user which is used in the front end to connect to backend. By default, it won't happen. It will be taken care by your RFC which you are using to connect. So you can see it hit the breakpoint in the backend as user Anubhav. And earlier the data was loading because Fiori server user was used. and Fiori server has lot of authorizations, and now your users, tiny user Anubhav, don't have such authorizations, which you can debug and find out why it's failing. So just scroll down, see why PO list is unable to get the data. It's getting you some return parameters, no cache. Just come here, it's some flow. There has to be a way you should be able to see it. It should throw an exception basically. Somewhere when it's trying to get the data, it will throw an exception. So let's see. It didn't give me anything. Let me just go and check some, put a breakpoint in some probably different methods. So I'll just come here and maybe set up a breakpoint in expand entity set method. Let me set up a breakpoint here, guys, and see what happens. I set up a breakpoint here, and let's try refresh one more time. I just do a refresh one more time just to debug and see what's going wrong. It's hitting the breakpoint first here. No. So there may be some authorization issue. How do you know for this user Anubhav? So you can simply go to SU53 and check why the data is not coming for this user Anubhav. Okay, and assign accordingly the authorization. So there's no error which is coming, but it's not just loading the data. That's what is happening. So now let me go to SU53 and show you, is there any authorization failure for this user? Okay. Also, we did not add a role in the backend for user Anubhav to access the O data. So if you remember in Fiori apps library, here we have this backend authorization role which has to be assigned to the user. So let me just assign this role to the user in the backend for user Anubhav to just see if this will help to access the data or not. So I come to our backend EP7 and just go to SU01 and use user Anubhav, go for change, go to roles, just grant him the role to access the data related to purchase order application. Save this, done. Let's come back and refresh the page. Of course, you can check details of this in SU53 if there is an authorization is failing. You will be able to see the details. You can see it's hitting the debugger now again. And if I just press F6, it should get you the PO list. So it's calling get PO list. It should get all the purchase orders. You see it's 0. Let's look at the return. Return is also 0. There's some problem. Return is also, so get PO list is returning 0, nothing. That's why it's not able to get the data. What you can also do is go inside and debug further. Is there any specific authorization failing, or you can directly go and check SU53 in the backend. So go to your backend system, EP7 here, and go to SU53. Now we have logged in, remember, as Fiori server user, but you want to check the authorization failure for user Anubhav. So how do you do it? I will show you. So I go to SU53 and here I say authorization values for other user. And now I choose user Anubhav here. Which authorization failed for this guy? And you can see there is this authorization related to MBEST purchasing organization in purchase order, commodity pricing engine, some authorization, and then purchasing organization in purchase order. These authorizations are failing for this user. Okay, so you can see it here. These are all the authorizations which are failing. Typically, the user should also have the authorizations related to purchase order as a whole. Okay, those authorizations this user doesn't have. So right now, just to show you that we want to make this app work, so I will give all the authorization to this guy, user Anubhav. Okay, so what I will do is I'll go to SU01 and probably give him all the authorizations available for user. Typically the basis guy would be knowing the right authorization for it, but you can come here and check the authorization object which has failed to load the data. It could be before also, not really problem. So right now I just to show you that it's the user Anubhav which is connecting to backend. So this is system time. It's not current time. It's a system time. Okay, it is system time. So now I go to SU01 and just give him all the authorizations. So I quickly go to profiles and just give him SAP underscore all. Save it. Now this user has a lot of authorizations related to purchase order, sales order, and stuff like that. Let's try now to refresh. It should connect to backend as user Anubhav. It should get you some data at least. Refresh the page. It should hit the breakpoint again. We will quickly check if get PO list is giving you some data now or not. So you can see here PO list, get PO list. It has got 5 records. See, this time get PO list give you 5 records. Earlier it was not. You can see the data is loading. It's also calling some more OData services here. You see, get PO list. Yeah. So it has got the data. So of course you need authorization related to purchase order. So that your basis guy must be knowing already. What authorization you need to access ME21N, ME22N, all these authorizations are bare minimum, which are anyways needed, and you need to put them into a role and assign that role to the user. Right now, I don't know what authorization really required, guys. I'm not a functional guy, so I've just given SAP all, just to show you that this authorization is there and hence user is able to connect. Yeah. So now this is how you debug an OData service of any from the front end server. So when a user connects from front end server, if at all you don't have you really don't want to debug it for that particular user, what you can do is maintain a generic user in the trusted RFC, and that user will anyways, it will connect to backend as a user, and with that also you can debug and check. Yeah, so that's how system determines which user will be used to connect to backend, and that's how as a developer we will go and set up a breakpoint in our OData service to debug the stuff. Yeah, now I can also show you if I quickly go back and remove this authorization. Let's see what happens. So I go back, remove the SAP all once again. Ideally you should not give SAP all, you should give a proper authorization. You should not give SAP all. Can I delete it? Is it possible? Yes. Click on save, and now let's come back, refresh the page, and you'll see the error. See, HTTP request failed. It's hitting the debugger. See, PO list it's hitting. It got again the PO list as empty in the backend. HTTP request failed. You see, there's an error coming. Let's go and check what is the error. If I just go back and check what's the error in the gateway system, you will find all the errors in the gateway system. So /n/IWFND/error log. Here you will find all the errors for every user. You see Anubhav user, error while reading purchase order this. See, this error is coming. And now you can go to SU53 in the backend system and see for this user Anubhav why it failed to read this purchase order. Let's go to backend. So I come here EP7 and go to SU53, and now you can see system time is 2056. Okay, 2056, and there has to be an error. I'm not sure. SU53, am I seeing it for user Anubhav? Other user, we should put user Anubhav here. Execute. You see 2056, and there has to be the one for 2056. I'm not able to see. So error while reading purchase order, that's all it's giving. But here in SU53, I'm not able to trace this particular error. But maybe if we will debug, we should be able to find what kind of authorization or is failing to read this purchase order. Let's debug one more time. I will go back to our DPC class and we'll set up a breakpoint here. We'll set up a breakpoint in all these methods which we have, just to check why it's not able to read the data. So let's set up a breakpoint. These all breakpoints are being set up as user Anubhav here. And let's refresh once again to check what went wrong. So you can see this is one session. Okay, it has got maximum sessions, so I probably need to kill some sessions of EHP system. And now just to refresh again. You can see it's hitting the breakpoints here. And now you can see it's trying to get this purchase order data, get PO details. It's trying to get for this purchase order. F6 when I do, let's go to return. And now you can see here in LT return, it tells me missing authorization for purchase order display for purchasing organization 3000. See, it's an authorization issue. You can check it in the debugging in the backend system. So any front-end user, when they are facing issue in Fiori app, first of all, check the OData service, check the system alias, check the trusted RFC connection, check which user is being used to connect to backend system. If it is current user, it should be the same user. Go to the backend system. First of all, select your service, click on technical details, find the DPC class name, go to the DPC class, check which entity set they are calling. Set up a breakpoint in the entity set method. Then debug that and find out where is the error, where is the exception thrown. If you do this, you will be able to find the root cause of which authorization is missing. You can of course go and check in SU53. I think it's not giving me the right trace right now. I'm really not sure why. Let me go to again to backend system and quickly check the trace. EP7, that's my backend. I'll go and check it. So before that, I'll again roll back this setting to Fiori server user for my system and then go to SU53 and check for user Anubhav. Is there any authorization which has failed? Definitely, I showed you in the background in the debugging that it is failing, yes, but I'm not sure why it is not reflecting here. It's 427 something. Old time it is showing, but I'm not sure. The current time which it is giving me here is 2059, but here I'm not able to see this for 2059. I think probably there's a mismatch in this system time, probably because of that it's not showing. Okay. Now there's one question, would you please check in FE? Front-end system you want me to check? Okay, we can check it in front-end system. Come here to SU53 and then just check for user Anubhav. Let's see. No, we are not getting it in front-end also. It has to be in the backend because your code runs in backend. Your actual application logic to read the purchase order data is in the backend, guys. Okay, it's in the backend. It has to be in the backend only. You're debugging also in backend. You found the error cause also in the backend. How can it be in the front end? There may be some problem. It may not be refreshing the time, or maybe I don't know which time is this one and which time is this one. But yes, we saw it in the debugger. In LT return, it was giving you the authorization error. So that's how you debug. The idea is to understand which user is used to connect to backend and how do you debug. And SAP underscore origin parameter to tell at runtime which system alias is being used to connect to the backend system. So all these things are pretty important. Now, since this server is being used by many people, I will roll back the settings quickly. I go back to this RFC and go to SM59 just to change it back again. Okay, so let me just do that. So come here, Fiori trusted RFC, and I'll change it back to Fiori server user, guys, because I don't want my basis guy to trouble me. So we will be now connecting to the backend server, and I'll also maintain the password here. It's a trusted relationship. So always, all the time, Fiori server user will be used to connect to backend. Let me come back and just refresh my screen now. You should see all the data will be loaded because the backend user which is now being used to read the data from backend is Fiori server user, which has all the authorization. And you see now, since I changed this setting to Fiori server user, it's hitting the breakpoint for Fiori server user. See, that's how you can debug. So you can see It's also pulled in the data now. No authorization issue for this guy because it has SAP all authorization in the backend. You can see all the data is being loaded now. Yeah. Okay, there is one question here from Charu. What is the DPC class for APPPO approval? So I think it's used for PO purchase order approval. How do you check the DPC class for that? So let me show you quickly, Charu, which is the DPC class for GBPO approval app. So I copied the name and I'll go to the front end system to the service transaction, main service. And now here we will just filter. Service name what you've given me is this one, GB APPPO approval. Click on search. This is my OData service technical name. I select this, click on service implementation. That's it. It connects to backend automatically. EP7 you can see. And this is the DPC name. It's not DPC underscore ext. This is the DPC name. It need not be necessarily DPC underscore ext. So that's why you were not able to find, I guess, your extension class, DPC extension class, because you may be following the naming convention with something called GBAPP underscore DPC underscore ext. You might have searched for it, but you couldn't find. This is the one they are using. They are not following naming convention here. Double click on this. It'll open up your data DPC class. Your system doesn't show anything when you click on display technical details. It's because the alias which you are using is incorrect. It is again using alias to connect. So what you can do if your system doesn't display anything when you click on service implementation, what you can do, I'll tell you, go to your backend system manually. Okay, connect to your backend system manually and then just enter this transaction. You see this transaction here, IWBEP REG service. Okay, IWBEP REG underscore service and enter your technical service name over here. Click on display. Sorry, technical service name will be underscore SRV. GBAPP underscore SRV. That's what you need to enter. It is not even SRV. What is that you have given me? That's your technical service name. GBAPP PO approval. That's your technical service name. You should enter that here. This is what you pinged me and you will find your DPC class name. Hope it helps you to identify this. The transaction name is /IWBEP REG underscore service. Okay, so you can try this. I'll give you the transaction code /IWBEP /REG underscore service. Here you can go and check, enter your service name, technical service name, and just click on display. You'll find your DPC class. This is also what we were unable to find yesterday. Okay, there were a lot of things which I learned even today, guys, which I'm sharing with you. I was also confused in yesterday's session. I did a lot of research around it, and then I found this root cause and also debugging issue which we were facing yesterday. Okay, typically when the system is fresh, you will face these kind of issues. But if system is already set it up properly, you will typically not face these kind of issues. That's why it takes time for you to understand. But now you know end to end, how does it connect to backend, which user it uses, how to set up a breakpoint, how to check the roles, authorization, stuff like that. With that, now we will move on and understand how to create custom catalog and custom groups. But what is the need for creating custom catalog and custom groups? But before that, we will quickly see in your company, you have already activated some Fiori apps out of the box. Okay, you have activated some Fiori app out of the box, but now your company don't want these apps to be used out of the box as it is. So what do? They want you to change the title of these apps. How do you change it? So you can see the title of the app. I want to change the title of the app. How can you change? So you can see approve leave request. They don't want this title. They want the title to be changed to approve my leave. That is what they want the title for this app, or approve your employees leaves, or approve your team members leaves. They want the different title. They want to change this icon How can you do that? How can you customize? So would you recreate the whole Fiori app, again create the semantic object and do all the stuff? No. As a Launchpad designer, you can customize the Launchpad for end users. Pretty simple. Let me show you how do you do it. So you just got to go back and create a new catalog and a new group, and then grant that particular catalog and group authorization to your users. How do you do it? It's very simple. As an administrator, log into the Launchpad designer, create a brand new catalog. So say, come here, title for the catalog, you can give anything, C employee, or sorry, employee. Let's say my company name is Walmart, so I say employee Walmart, and then I can just give an ID, Z EMP Walmart. Click on save. A new catalog will be created. Okay, there is an error coming. CSRF token not delivered. Looks like I got to refresh this page quickly to just allow creation for catalog. See, the login was the problem. I will re-log in and just create it one more time. So employee Walmart and say ZEMP WLM. Click on save. A new catalog, custom catalog will be created. And now in this custom catalog, I'm going to add the tiles from the standard catalog. Okay, so let me do it. So always remember guys, when you're creating your custom catalog and custom group, try to use technical catalog delivered by SAP. Okay, try to use technical catalog delivered by SAP, because technical catalog contains all the Fiori apps related to one area. So I want to design one app from, let's say, HCM, and my employee would be working in sales and distribution. So imagine a case, you have an employee in your company who is working in a sales and distribution department. He's also an employee. He would also go for leaves. So he would need an access for an application through which he can apply the leaves. He would also need to record his timesheet, what work he has done throughout the day. At the same time, his actual work is to create purchase order, send them for approval, create invoices and stuff like that. So you want to customize, to give a customized launchpad to the end user. In that case, you would create your own catalogs and pick up the standard Fiori apps out of the box from the technical catalog from different areas and build it. Okay, so that's the purpose of technical catalog. You always copy the apps from the technical catalog to your custom catalog. Business catalogs are delivered for you to use or to give an access to the end user out of the box. Business catalog, business roles out of the box. But if you want your company to design the launchpad in a different way, like an employee should have basic access for leave request app, then timesheet, and then purchase order creation, tracking the purchase order, tracking the or checking the stock items. So I can create my own catalog. Pretty simple. So let's create this one. Now I want one app from HR area. So I will just search for the technical catalog where I have a leave request application. So I go to Fiori Labs library and say leave request app. So this is one app which every employee in my company would need. So my leave request app, just pick up the technical catalog name. So where is it? Technical catalog, here it is. Copy this. All the apps related to HCM will be available in this. So use this one, press enter, select it. There are total 6 apps in the entire HCM area. Now they want this particular application, my lead request app. So just select this one. Okay, you can drag and drop. Just select this one and say copy. Okay, just drag it. The moment you click on it, you'll get this copy option and drop it on the copy button. And now you choose your catalog name. Okay, so I will choose my catalog name as Walmart. What I've created, employee Walmart, here it is. Say copy. One app got copied to it. Okay, you see one reference app got copied to it. Now I want also for timesheet, just select this, drag it and drop it on copy and just give it here. So I'll say Walmart once again. So I want, basically you are giving, you're designing the launchpad here for your company. They want still the Fiori apps, but they don't want the way SAP delivered them out of the box. They want it in their own fashion, one single screen which has all the tiles which are bare minimum for every employee working in sales and distribution department. So you're doing that. So done, this is one. Now we want one app from SD area, which is, let's say, track purchase order. So track purchase order and create purchase order they want if they want. So you can just go and pick up the technical catalog once again, all the related apps here. So material management related apps. So if I just search for this, there are 5 apps you can see. Track purchase order, approve purchase order, approve. These are for managerial role, basically a supervisor role or manager role. But I want the track purchase order, just drag it, say copy, again search for your catalog, Walmart, and just choose this, done. And now one app for, let's say, retail I want. So I just say uh, check product availability. That's a retail application. Oops, I don't have it. Availability. Yes, no. I want to see product availability. It's not showing here, but maybe I can find it here in one of the technical catalog. It must be in retail area, SAP retail area. So let me just quickly check that. In SAP retail store area, yes, here we have all the technical apps, technical catalog for all the apps related to retail area. So look up the retail products, drag it and say copy to Walmart. So I just copy this, done. So I have copied multiple apps. Let's quickly go back to my my catalog which I have created, custom catalog which I have created. So Walmart, here it is, and you will see there are 4 apps which I've copied from different technical catalogs to design my own launchpad catalog for my company. You will see this you will notice here there's a dotted line around the tile. It represents that it's a reference. Okay guys, this represents its reference. Reference means it's whatever SAP delivered, I referenced it as it is. It's a copy by reference. It's also known as shallow copy. What is shallow copy? It's just a reference. Now, if my company don't want the title as this, okay, my company want the title for this tile as apply for leaves, I can change it. I can change it pretty simple. Click on the tile. It takes you inside the tile. So click on this tile. And now it has taken you inside the tile. Right now it's reference, guys. Now I'll change the title here. So I say, wanna go for vacation, apply here. Kind of cool company, so they want, you know, their employees to have a better look and feel for these tiles. You can also change the icon. So you can just do an F4 for all the available icons and just change it. So let's see if I can find something which is kind of a beach or something. If I can find, will be nice. So any icon I can choose. Let's choose this train or maybe this one, a car. Say okay, cool. Now, the moment you click on save button, see at the bottom it's also telling this is a reference style, which means it's it's you just use it from SAP. Okay, but the moment I save it, the reference will be broken. Okay, that's saying changing the configuration breaks the reference. Do you still want to change it? I say yes. Okay, so it makes now a deep copy of this style in the system, and you see there's a dotted line which is gone off. Okay, now my icon is changed, my tile title is being changed. So you don't have to rewrite the whole line of Fiori app, still connecting the same Fiori app, just created a reference initially, and now it's a deep copy where it has changed the app talking to the Fiori, the actual Fiori app. Yeah, it's been done now. Now you can also come to the target mapping. Here you see now the target mappings are not available yet for all the Fiori apps. Okay, which means These are just tiles. If user click on these tiles, nothing is going to happen because there's no target mapping, guys. There's no target mapping. You also got to copy the target mapping for all 4 of your Fiori apps. Very important. Very important. So where do we find them? Again, back to the catalogs. So we got to go to the catalogs and just find the target mapping for all of them. So when we use this track purchase order, just go to the target mapping, and here you will see the target mapping for the track purchase order. So here you have, see the track purchase order hyphen track, which is the action. Just say create, we got to copy this, and we got to copy it to our catalog Walmart. Just select this, done. It will automatically go to that catalog, the target mapping. And now we are also going to pick up the next one, which was employee HCM related catalog related to employee, and we got to go to target mapping. So leave request app, this also I want to copy to my catalog Walmart. Without this, your apps are just tiles, guys. It won't navigate without target mapping. As I showed you yesterday, what is the importance of target mapping? It connects your application tile. It connects your application tile to the semantic object in the backend system. Yeah, basically in the Fiori frontend system, in your ERP Fiori frontend system, it connects to the semantic object, this target mapping. So second one is done. Now we also have used one more app, I guess. Timesheet app, yeah. So we need for this as well. So where is the target mapping for timesheet app? Yes, time entry. Make a copy to your Walmart. Select this. Without target mapping, there's no use. Now the last one was retail one. So any retail product. So if I just come and check the retail one, retail store, associate content, and here we look up for retail product, go to the target mappings and see this is the one look up, say copy to Walmart, my custom catalog. I select it, done. Let's come back to our catalog once again. So we come to Walmart. Now that's what my company want. My company want 4 different tiles for any employee working in my SD department. 4 different tiles for any employee working in sales and distribution department. He can apply for leave. He can probably track the purchase orders. He can look for the products, and he can fill the timesheets, right? These 4 apps my company want under one hood, and I can quickly do it by just picking up the apps from the standard SAP catalogs, which has to be the technical catalog. Remember again, it has to be the technical catalog. I also copied the target mapping, so you can come here and see this is the target mapping for all the apps. So you can check this one and just say configure. You will find again this is a reference. You can see at the bottom this is just a reference. Tomorrow when I create a custom Fiori application, I will show you to change this. Okay, I will show you changing this as well when I'll create a custom Fiori app, a pure custom Fiori app. But right now let's keep it as it is. The intent and semantic object remains same for this particular tile, the first tile. So if you come to the first tile, you can see here we have leave request, create leave request. Okay, and the target mapping for leave request hyphen create leave request is it's calling one of the BSP applications. So if I just show you here inside, it's calling this role, this app, and this application alias. Okay, cool. So we have created now basically a catalog. What about group? What is a group? Group is nothing but just a title of all the group of apps. Okay, it's just a title of all the group of apps. So what is that you want to show to the employee? Who is he in the company? It's, remember, Launchpad is all about end user. You should not display any technical details to him. That's why all this drama of having semantic object and then action, stuff like that, and creating this copy and showing, changing this text and stuff like that. It's all because of end user. You always want to hide the technical details. Okay. One question from Charu: when you specify Launchpad role here, it means already specified in your app in LPD cust. Yes. Yesterday I showed you when you have a particular role here in the target mapping. So if I just go and show you for this particular target mapping, a role here, this has nothing to do with your role related to the role which we learned here, the role concept of ABAP. That it's not that. This is just LPD cust role, UIX01 HCM. If you go to your front-end server, let me just go, and in LPD cust transaction, if you go there, it's the role which is maintained in LPD cust transaction. It has nothing to do with the actual role which we learned in the past. It's not PFCG role. Okay, so it's not PFCG role. So if you scroll down, you'll find something related to U. Yeah, here we have, and if you just say UIX, I want to see, yes, UIX HCM transactional app, HCM transactional apps. All the transactional apps related to human capital management is grouped under one project here in LPD cust. So you can see UIX01 HCM is the role name, and it instance is transactional, and that's what is connecting to front end to the launchpad. So if you just come here, you see UIX01 HCM transactional, and the app which it is going to launch is my leave request app. If you just come here to my leave request app here, which BSP application it's going to launch is this one. And if you just go HCM LRCRE, you can go and check in your Fiori apps library for leave app, leave request app. You will find the same Fiori app name. The BSP application name is HCM LRCRE. That's the name. You can see it's matching. HCM LRCRE. So that's how we connect end-to-end all the pieces together. Yeah. So you don't need to change really the target mapping. It remains as it is. You just customize the tile title, tile icon, stuff like that, and made this whole launchpad for your end user. Now let's quickly create a group, which is just the title of all these group of apps. So let me go to groups, just add a group and just give a title, Walmart's valuable employees, and just give an ID, Z, GRP1. Enable the user's personalization for groups. Yes, okay, save this. And you can see group is created. I got to add the tile now from the catalog for this group. Click on plus and just choose the catalog and select this catalog. No tiles present in this catalog. How come? Just now we saw the tiles. Why it's not showing the tiles here? I really should show the tiles here for this particular catalog. So let me quickly go back once again to this Z group which I created. ZWM. Let me create a new one, probably Walmart's valuable employees, ZW Mart underscore GRP. Click on save, plus search here for catalog Walmart. I have 4 tiles into it. Yes, you can see all 4 tiles are coming up now. Select all 4 of them, or maybe 2 of them or 3 of them, whatever you want to make it display under this group to the end user. You can do it, or you can say just these 2 I want right now, and the track purchase order and look up the product is something related to work. I can uncheck them, or you want all 4 of them under one single group. You can do that. Typically we select all and put it under one group. Done. You can see all 4 are displayed here as well. You are done with the designing. Now comes the main part. You need to assign and create a custom role to give an access to this launchpad role and catalog. So you created a custom thing, guys. Now there's nothing which is out of the box. You wanted to design it, your company wanted to design it the way they want. It's pure custom. It's a pure custom content now. This is also known as customer content for SAP point of view. So you have created a group and you created a catalog. Let me show you the catalog one more time. We need the name of the catalog actually. So The name of the catalog is ZEMP_WLM. And I would now go back and assign to our favorite user Anubhav, this new catalog and new group. Okay, so how do you create a custom role to assign it to Anubhav? So let's go back to our front end system, and we got to define a new role /n pfcg, and you can name it any role what you like. You got to define a new custom role. So z cust Walmart, click on create. Mart employee. This is one role I'm creating for employee in Walmart. Go to menu, and now we got to add this custom catalog and custom group. So select here in the menu option something called SAP Fiori catalog. So you will find an option called SAP Fiori tile catalog. You can see here. Select this SAP Fiori tile catalog and just enter the Fiori catalog name, the technical name of it, ZEMPWLM. I enter it, click on OK. Oops, says doesn't exist. Looks like I got to search for this Z star, press F4, just search for all the catalogs available in the system starting with Z. It's not showing. Maybe I just search for everything what is there in the system. See guys, I did a mistake. Can anybody tell me what the mistake I did? Anybody? What is the mistake am I doing? Anyone? What is the mistake am I doing? Which system am I creating this role? Perfect answer, Keshwa. I am creating this in backend system, which is wrong. Your launchpad exists in front end. Everything exists in front end system. How can the role exist in backend? Got to create it here in this PFCG. It should be in the front end system. So we come to the front end system, and here we should create the role for employee. So just say Z Walmart employee role. Click on create. You can create a composite role by adding certain standard SAP Fiori roles as well. So say Walmart employee, go to menu, and just got to add this catalog and the group. Once again, select SAP Fiori tile catalog, and we got to enter the catalog name ZEMP_WLM. Say okay. Says doesn't exist. No problem. We got to search this time. I'm sure we should be able to find it. ZE star. If I do, let me see if I can find it in F4. You can see I did a case thing. It's case sensitive. You see P is small. That's why it wasn't able to find. P is small. So make sure that you always create everything in capital letter, so you don't end up these kind of problems. Okay. So in my case, I kept P small, everything capital, so it was not able to find. So it's case sensitive. Select it. You can see the catalog is added to the role. We will also add the group. So SAP Fiori tile group is what you should also add. And let's give the group ID Z Walmart GRP. This is all in caps. So you can see it's added. There's no text here. So I say valuable EMP group. Click on save. Let's come back and quickly generate the authorization profile with nothing into it. Probably just, the user. Anyways, we already added the front end user profile to it, but I don't want to select anything. Just say empty generation, and this part is also goes green. And add the user, but we will not add the user right now. Let's go and check with Anubhav user on the front end system. Do you get all the tiles or not? You see my home, employee, manager, buyer, nothing comes. Why? Anyone? Why this user Anubhav is not able to see the tiles which we created just now? Why? Anybody? Why this user is not able to see the tiles which we created just now? Why? You have not assigned the role yet. Let's assign this role to Anubhav user. Click on save. Also, yeah, user goes green. Good. Let's come back and refresh the page. Scroll down and voila, you see Walmart valuable employee, guys. See, all your 3 tiles are visible now here to the user. But we created actually 4 of them. Why the 4th one is not visible? Not sure. Let's open up this one. Go to tile catalog and select your catalog related to Walmart. So employee Walmart, and you can see only 3 are coming. Maybe one of it I have unchecked. That's why it's not coming here. So maybe let me quickly check why the last one is not coming. Maybe I have unchecked it while creating the group. That's why it's not visible to the user. So in the group, I will just quickly go back and just, enable it once again. The last one which I have here was not added, I guess. No, it's there. Maybe some problem, some configuration problem. They all are there here in the group also. Why it's not visible to the user. So let me check the catalog quickly. The Walmart catalog. Select here. It's here, guys. Not sure. There may be some problem. There may be some problem with target mapping. Okay. There may be some target mapping problem. Okay, there is one question here from Dheeraj. What is the difference between group and the catalog? Okay, suppose you want employee as, there are 2 groups. You want to just categorize your tiles. That's the only difference. So you see here, there are different groups. Buyer, all the buyer related apps, all the Walmart employee, my company related apps in one group. Then all the manager related apps. If as a manager, what is that I need to do? All that in under one group. So they all can be in one catalog, but you can just group the tiles. Group means the semantic meaning, English meaning, grouping of the apps. So you can have one catalog with multiple groups also. It's possible. You can have one catalog with multiple groups also. So this is how you group the apps, just the grouping of tiles, nothing more than that, as per the role, as per the person's role in the company. It gives a better look and feel. If you see all the tiles in under one hood, it's very difficult for user to, group it. So let's say today I'm not going to work anything related to my leave request or my timesheet. So I can quickly go and disable that group. I can delete the group. Okay. It's possible. I can customize these groups as a user. So this is one of the customizing option for the user, plus also ease of use for using the applications. So all the Walmart, my company related applications under one group. Yeah, under one group.
Anubhav, is this mean that for one catalog we can create many groups for that? Means while using the one catalog.
You can create multiple groups by picking up the applications from different catalogs. Okay. And picking from different, let me show you now in the system. What I will do, I'll create one more group by picking apps from different catalogs, and I will add that group to the user. Okay. So let me show you. So imagine this user is also a manager. Okay. He's a manager in the company. So I will create another group and pick up the apps from different catalogs. So let me go back and to the Launchpad Designer, and I'll create one more group now. So I go back and I can say apps related to manager. This is one group. Okay. So ZWLM underscore MGR. This is my group name I'm giving. Now let me just put it in my notepad so that I can remember and say okay. And now in this group I am going to add apps from different catalogs. So one app I will add from maybe I'll choose related to manager, standard SAP manager, cost manager, let's say. So I come to cost manager and just add this MySpend app. Of course, now this cost manager catalog rights also needed for the user. And then one I will choose from HCM. Manager is responsible for approving the leaves for its people who are working under him. So manager HCM, and I will add probably approve lead request, timesheet, these two apps under one group. So now this group has got 3 apps. Let me grant this this group access to the user. So I'll go back here and just go to the menu for this role, and probably I'll create a new role, let's say manager role, and grant it to Anubhav, but just for the sake of ease I am showing it here. So I will add a group now again, and this group is going to be this new group what I just created. Yeah, and just say okay. You can see it's added. Say manager, save this. Now come back and refresh. So I should get all the manager related apps which belongs to the employee. So apps related to manager, approve leave request, approve timesheet. Since I have rights for HCM catalog, see guys, I have rights for HCM catalog, though I have added 3 tiles in my group, but I have only rights to the HCM related catalog. I have added one more tile related to this my spend, which comes under cost center manager, but that catalog right I don't have. Hence I cannot see this my spend app here. Let me add the catalog, technical catalog for my spend to it, to the user. So I should be able to see my spend also. So this is grouping, is just the grouping of tiles, grouping of apps under one hood, just to make it easy for user. But still user will not be able to see, even though you add it in the group, user will not be able to see the tile. You have to give access to the catalog also. So what I'm going to do is maybe add this app to this catalog, Walmart only, create a reference from cost center manager. I'll create a reference, cost center manager. I'll just create a copy to my Walmart catalog so that user can see this app as well. I also copy the reference here to Walmart catalog because user is not able to see. That's why you are not able to see the another tile, guys. So I just make a reference, done. Everything is okay. So you should be able to now see the my spend tile also in that group. Apps related to manager, you see it's not coming yet because I'm not chosen. So let me just quickly go and enhance the group and choose it. Looks like I just got to refresh. Maybe app has to come, guys. No, role is already there for the catalog related to Walmart. It has to come. See, it has come. See, it was just a refresh problem. So you can see the moment I refresh, my spend also come because I added the tile and the reference, the reference mapping for the tile, okay, into my catalog, the Z catalog Walmart, and that Z catalog already granted to the role, and role is granted to the user. So you can see my spend is coming. Yeah. So all 4 apps below Walmart employee. So this is how, let's say, in your company, you can only give access to these apps to your people. You may not want to give out of the box access for all the SAP Fiori apps. Your company want like this, the launchpad to be designed for their employees like this. So how do you do it? Your company don't want the title, usual title for Fiori apps. They want like to change it. So you see here, want to go for vacation, apply here, which means it's a leave request application. You can see a car also, which gives me an implication that if I'm want to go to leave, I can use this app. So you can customize your launchpad without actually changing the real Fiori apps. Your company want it like this. Your company want to use SAP Fiori apps out of the box, but they want the title of these apps, tile titles in their own way. How do you do it? This is how you do it.
Anubhav, one more question.
Yeah.
Anubhav, this is regarding the PFCG role. When you are giving access to the user Anubhav, actually you have just assigned the group in the my menu over there. So for the catalog, we need to give access to catalog also.
Yes. You see,
But the
employee catalog. If I remove this catalog, both the groups will also go away, because these groups, because this catalog has all the actual apps. All the apps are under the catalog. Group is just to group the apps on the screen. It's just a reference for those apps. which I added from this catalog into these groups. If you remember, one of the app I have added in this group, employee valuable employee group, all the apps of this catalog I have added in this group. How did I create a group? I go plus create a group. I go to the group. Inside the group, I select the catalog from which catalog I want the apps. I pick up them and then I assign it to the group and I save it and I assign the group to the role and role to the user.
Yeah, but for manager, you directly choose it from the standard catalog.
Standard one. But
Yeah.
from manager, I've chosen directly from standard, but this user Anubhav, if you go to the user Anubhav, he's already having access for the catalogs which are out of the box. If I'll show you for this user Anubhav, if you remember yesterday we did it. Yesterday we already assigned catalogs to this guy here, right? Related to HCM apps, we already assigned the standard BCR roles.
Okay.
And if you go inside these BCR roles, what you will see, let me show you. What is that exactly this inside BCR role? It's a catalog. Catalog
All the
related to all employee apps. This is not a
yeah.
magic. This is how SAP also built these roles. When you out of the box, SAP created and gave you this role, which has this group and this catalog assigned already.
Okay.
And this is already assigned to this guy Anubhav here. And one of the app from this catalog only I have assigned it to the new group which I created, right? One of the HCM app for employee I assigned to the group which I created. It's a custom group, customization. Just a high level, top level customization without actually changing the background, without actually changing any logic, any application, any mapping. I'm still using standard Fiori apps, but on the front end, on the launchpad, I've customized the whole thing. That's why we say launchpad is highly configurable and customizable, right? Highly configurable and customizable. You see, for this user, highly configurable. User can move these apps also between these. User can delete these apps references. You see, got deleted. See, user can drag and drop because this user Anubhav I've given yesterday. If you remember, I showed you one role, conf role, which I've assigned. User can delete these apps. If you want to bring that back, you can see here. You can create a new group. User can create their own groups. This is an Anubhav user. He's just a user. He's not an admin, but he can still customize the launchpad the way he want. It's all possible. He can create his own new group. See, and now he can choose all the apps what this user want. Between all the apps, what is assigned to him already, anyways. So user want his own group, and he want to choose one this app, add it to the new group. Okay, and let's say I want this app, add it to this group, and one of the app from here, add it to this new group, and user is himself able to do it. See, so user himself can customize this. He created a new group on fly, personalization. So whatever I granted access of the role, in the role I have all the catalogs. Those catalogs, all the apps are there. All those apps are visible for him. He can also create his own group. He can choose his own group. He can create it. But the way my company want a standard look and feel, I've designed it as a Fiori application developer and given it to him. He can on top do personalization. Now this personalization will not be applicable for Fiori server user or any other user, because this I created a group on fly. So users can also personalize Launchpad if they want. But of course, here you have restriction. He cannot choose an app for which the catalog at all is not assigned to him. You remember we assigned only 3 catalogs to this guy. One which we created a custom catalog, which has some tiles. One which we have an HCM employee. One is HCM manager, and one which we have granted today for these purchasing buyer apps. Yeah. Out of these only he can choose, nothing more than that. Yeah, nothing more than that. So that's how we can user can also personalize it. That's the power of Launchpad. It gives great level of personalization to the end users. Any questions? How to create Fiori tiles connecting to standard Fiori apps out of the box. So all of these we have seen out of the box, everything. Whatever SAP delivers, just a tweak modification on top, changing titles, icons, stuff like that, creating custom groups, custom catalogs, and giving it to your users to use it the way your company wanted it to be configured. You did it and you give it. You design it the way your company want. Yeah. Now let me give an exercise to all of you. Let's see, hopefully when I give an exercise, it will be more clear to all of you. So you are working for, let's say, manufacturing company. Okay. So you are working for a manufacturing company. Your company want to use SAP Fiori apps out of the box. They don't want you to develop anything custom. Okay. Out of the box. Now your requirement is to design a portal page. So what sometimes they also call it as the business guys portal, Fiori portal. Okay, sometimes some business guy will call Launchpad as Fiori portal or Fiori page, launch page. They also call it as, because that's the old name of Launchpad. So design a portal, which is nothing but Fiori Launchpad, giving, which should look like something below. Okay, so which should look like something below. Try this out. It should solve all your doubts. So you should have one title first of all here. Let's say company name is XYZ Corporation. So XYZ Corp employee apps. Then you should have one more title in the screen as XYZ Corporation daily work apps. And then one more about company section. So 3 sections on the Launchpad page company want. Now in each section, let me tell you the quick tiles. So the first tile, which should be create leave request. Second tile should be related to timesheet, but the title of the tile should be what I did today. Okay, so basically it is a timesheet app. I should fill the timesheet, and then I should also have an application related to my benefits, where I can check my pay slip, right? My benefit, there is an app, standard app available in SAP called My Benefits app. So you should show these 3 apps in this first section. Second section, it is a day-to-day work for this employee. So here I should have 2 apps. One is create purchase order. One is create sales order. And one app has to be approve sales order and approve purchase order. That's my day-to-day work in the company. So when I come to this company every day, I do either create purchase order or sales order, or I approve them, which comes to me for approval. So approve purchase order and approve sales order. Okay. So these 4 apps is my daily work. My company want me to design. So this is a business requirement, how business will tell you when you join a company as a Fiori developer. And after you develop a custom app sometimes, or if you're not developing, they want it to use out of the box. They realized it, yes, all the standard Fiori apps are enough for us to start use, or they want to don't jump directly to the custom development, but instead they want first to try standard Fiori app. How will their users access these apps? You need to design a portal for them. You need to design a launchpad for them. That's the first step every company will do before really getting into any custom development. They want to first check what SAP offers. So how do you how to give an access to them? Yeah, this is how you should design. And then you need to create a tile here at the bottom about the company. Okay, so it should be about us, and the moment I click, it should open another window and take me to the company website. Now this I did not taught you guys yet. Company website. Okay, it should take you to the company website. This I did not taught you yet, not till date. Let's see if you guys will be able to do this. Okay, this is what an exercise for all of you. So I don't know how many of you are using your company servers or this particular server, but this is an exercise for all of you. Please try this exercise, try to complete it, and send me the screenshot of Launchpad what you have designed. Now I don't care whether your app opens up or not, or inside your app you have a authorization issue or some technical issue. I don't care about it. What I just care about is the look and feel of the entire Launchpad. This is my goal. You should give me a page, a Launchpad page, which has all these tiles with the title which I mentioned already. Same title it should be. Okay, and they should have a reference to the standard Fiori apps. Only this one is something which is a custom which I didn't taught you yet. Try to create a tile in the Launchpad, a fresh tile. Okay, and see if you can launch external URL from the tile. It's pretty simple, very simple, believe me. Very simple. You just have to play around with it. This is something which is new, which you all have not seen yet in the classes. Rest all the things we have seen. Try to see in your server, in your company server, if you can somehow make these apps also work. You can debug, you can check if there's an authorization issue or service issue. Anyways, you will encounter the authorization related issues when you really want to create a launchpad related to either administration authorization for creating the launchpad, or a user authorization related to accessing the launchpad, or within the app when user try to access an app. But I don't know which user do you use, which user you don't use. I ultimately want this page. I don't know whether you are using the business user also as an admin user. Do it, you are free to do, but ultimate output should look like this. That's my goal. Again, I repeat, I don't care about whether your app works or doesn't work when you click, but it should be an app out of the box which SAP delivered. Only this last tile and app is not something which SAP delivers you out of the box. You need to create, and these group titles has to be there. So how do you achieve these titles? You have to create groups, because group is the only way to create and add these tiles to the group. And then 3 groups together you add it to the role, and of course the catalogs from where these tiles have been picked up to be added to the group. Those catalogs has to be also added to the group, sorry, to the role, and that role has to be granted to the user. Hence user will be able to see this. Yeah. Also, if it doesn't work, just try to see if you have a proper backend role created for all these standard Fiori apps, and that composite role is assigned to the user in the backend. If yes, I'm sure in your systems, these apps will be live out of the box without any extra effort. That's the idea. Instant value to customers by SAP without extra effort. In here, we cannot really run all the apps. Like I showed you, only track PO is working because there is an incompatibility within the backend and front-end servers. And also there are configuration missing, like some HR configuration, org unit configuration is required to configure the leave request app. So that is missing in the backend, hence it's not working. There's an org unit which has to be created. There's a HR organization structure which has to be created. In transactions, in HR related transactions, which is missing in this server. Hence, it's not working. Okay, some of the apps. But yes, if you're functionally also good, you can configure these things. But ideally, don't try this in your production system. Please try only in development, quality, or sandbox systems. Don't try this in production system. Yeah. So that's the requirement from today. Hope you all liked it, today's class, how to debug, how to connect different artifacts, about connecting to different backend systems, system aliases, RFC connections, uh, and also designing custom tiles, keeping the actual SAP application intact in the backend, launching to that app. Let me also show you at the last. If I click on this, it will launch the standard leave request app, which is only possible if you have the mapping existing. You remember we have also created this target mapping. If this target mapping is not there, it won't navigate. So let me click on this. You will see standard Fiori app will launch. See, it's launching the standard leave request app. Though that the tile looks completely different, but in the background it's connecting to same standard Fiori app, right? That is what our goal is. But you see, the tile is not the one what SAP delivered. I changed it because my company asked me to change. My company asked me to design a launchpad for that. I did it by keeping the mapping same, keeping the launch of the actual Fiori app same. Yeah. So hope you understood the requirement. Please try this requirement. This is a tricky topic, especially the launchpad topic is pretty tricky. That's why we all miss things. But now you all know step by step what roles, what authorization, what is group, what is catalog, how to assign, how to change, what is target mapping, what is LPD cust entry, or what is semantic object. All these things you now know. All the pieces are connected. Remember this picture all the time in your mind. You will never get confused. If you just remember this picture, take your mobile devices, your cell phone, take a picture, take a photo of this and keep it in your mobile device, keep it in your tablet, keep looking at it at daily. You will remember these things. You will never forget these things. We just started with this yet. Still we got to learn about how to customize your overall look and feel, branding, logos, how to use theme designer to change as per your company need. All these things are still pending. Customizing, creating a custom Fiori app using SAP Web IDE, standard Fiori app enhancements, standard SAP OData service enhancements. There are a lot to learn. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. There's a lot to learn. On that note, it's a wrap on today's class. Let's meet over next weekend. Until then, I hope you all will be able to develop this particular launchpad. Have a nice day and goodbye.